Alright, Abdel, I want to check with you one more time. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Although I've read your rights, it is important to make sure you fully understand everything, and I obtained your proper consent.
Dr. Saul, I've read everything's over, and I listened to you. I understand. This is my request, and I know what that's mean. I won't speak.
Alright, Abdel, you're making an informed decision, and your condition makes it understandable why you feel this way. As a physician, it's my duty to respect my patient's wishes. We're ready to begin.
And with that, this court is now in session. Thank you, Jake, for acting as our jury today. Your goal is to determine the statements made today and properly determine both our patient's guilt and their potential violations of the 4 bioethical principles: autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. Let us begin with the opening statement. Prosecutor Kevin.
Your Honor, Dr. Sal violated the most fundamental tenet of medicine, to do no harm. Not only did he violate the law, he violated his duty to protect the health and well-being of his patient.
Your Honor, members of the jury, this case is not one of malice, but of mercy. My client, Dr. Sal, did not act with disregard of life, but with compassion and care for life, and respect. He respected the wishes of his patient, Abdel, in his last moments. Abdel had been in terminal care for about 1.5 years, suffering with no family around him. His patient was very aware of the forms that he had filled out and was very competent with the information provided to him, and requested peace. Dr. Sal did what any compassionate physician would have done, which is to honor the patient's wishes. He did not provide any extra pain. He alleviated pain and allowed his patient to pass with peace. So throughout this court case, we will show you that Dr. Sal was not an executioner, but a healer who honored his patient's autonomy and dignity in the face of inevitable death.
Your Honor, I have a number of questions about this case. Did Dr. Sal fully consider the remediability of Abdel's condition? Was there something short of ending his life that could have been done? Did he exhaust all options? Was Abdel's condition guaranteed to kill him in the foreseeable future? Did Abdel have the necessary capacity to make such decisions? Or was there a way of ameliorating his condition socially? Does Dr. Sal carry any bias, conscious or not, regarding Abdel's conditions, such that he viewed Abdel's existence as being worth ending in this way? And by what right can he declare himself the arbiter of life and death? We have just such an example of a doctor who took matters into his own hands with grave consequences, and that was Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Though he may have saved his patients some agony, I contend that in many cases he acted with egotistical recklessness. He had an obsession with death and saw himself as its proprietor, even coming up with perverse names for devices and euphemisms for his practice. In 1991, he helped a patient end her life, but his judgment regarding her capacity was purely subjective, as 3 different psychiatrists had diagnosed this patient as being mentally ill and requiring counseling. Further, in 1993, he provided euthanasia to an individual who prosecutors later discovered had tried to halt the procedure, had requested that the procedure be halted, but Dr. Kevorkian tampered with his evidence.
Thank you, Kevin. Ben, you may cross-examine as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Sal followed every ethical and moral and medical guideline. He confirmed Abdel's capacity, reviewed his wishes multiple times, and documented informed consent. We've seen cases like that of Dr. Jack Kevorkian, a physician who challenged society's fear of death in order to defend a patient's autonomy. Though controversial, his message was clear, that competent, suffering patients deserve the right to choose peace over prolonged suffering. He stood as a symbol of moral courage, willing to risk his career and freedom to uphold what he believed was the truest form of compassion. Respecting a patient's right to die with dignity. His action ignited a national conversation and about compassion, dignity, and the limits of medicine. So I ask you, what is more humane? Forcing a man to endure agony he no longer wishes to bear, or allowing him to pass on his own terms with dignity, compassion, and peace?
Thank you both for resting your cases. We will now move to the closing argument.
Members of the jury, What Miss Carr's story reminds us of is that compassion sometimes demands impossible choices. Carol Carr was a Georgia mother who in 2002 ended the lives of her 2 adult sons who were suffering from Huntington's disease, an incurable degenerative condition that stripped them of all independence and dignity. She faced criminal charges, but her actions were born not of hatred but of love. She couldn't bear to watch them deteriorate any further, trapped in bodies that no longer obeyed them. Like Carol, Dr. Sal was not driven by cruelty, he was moved by mercy. In the same spirit, Dr. Sal faced the pain of his patient, Abdel, a 65-year-old man who had battled a terminal illness for a year and a half. He had no surviving family, and he told Dr. Sal more than once that his life felt complete, that he had fulfilled his purpose and no longer wished to suffer through the final painful decline of his disease. Dr. Sal did what any ethical physician guided by humanity would do. He confirmed Abdel's mental capacity, reviewed his wishes repeatedly, documented informed consent, and ensured that every legal and ethical standard was met before acting. This was not abandonment, this was accompaniment. Just as Carol stood beside her sons in their final moments, Dr. Sal stood behind Abdel when no one else could. He granted him peace instead of pain. Abdel's final decision was his own, and Dr. Sal honored it. In doing so, he upheld the very principle of medicine, competence, by ensuring that Abdel fully understood the weight of his decisions, recognizing the futility of further treatment, that continued intervention would only prolong suffering and not preserve life. Also, he honored Abdel's decision just as physicians should respect a patient's DNR order. A final expression of self-determination. Dr. Sal placed his patient's well-being, dignity, and wishes above all else.
Kevin, you may begin the cross-examination when ready.
Your Honor, while Ms. Carr's story is tragic, and I can't say what I would do in that situation. However, I would not have resorted to murder. She was unsatisfied with the care that her sons received, which is understandable, but other remedies were available. She could have moved them to a different facility or brought them home with the help of a home health aide. It was possible to make them comfortable without ending their lives.
Let us consider the 4 bioethical principles of medicine: is autonomy, the patient's own informed choice; beneficence, acting in the patient's best interest; non-maleficence, seeking to do the patient no harm; finally, justice, following the law and proper moral and ethical codes. Do each of you have any final words for the jury before they make their decision?
Your Honor, members of the jury, in closing, Dr. Sal violated the central tenet of medicine: to do no harm and to preserve life. It was his fiduciary duty to improve the health of his patient, not render it gluten death. What the patient wishes does not negate the physician's duty to act without maleficence.
Your Honor, members of the jury, throughout this trial, we've heard about laws and principles, but at the heart of this case lies a human being, Abdel, who faced inevitable death and unbearable suffering. Dr. Sal's act upheld autonomy by respecting Abdel's conscious and informed choice. He demonstrated beneficence by relieving pain when no treatment could restore comfort or dignity, and non-maleficence by providing peaceful, controlled passing instead of prolonged agony. And when we speak of justice, we must remember that true justice is not blind to compassion. It seeks fairness in both law and humanity. Dr. Sal did not act out of malice, but out of mercy. He fulfilled his patient's final request with empathy and courage. So I ask you, members of the jury, is it just to punish compassion or to honor a patient's right to choose peace over pain? Dr. Sal gave Abdel what every person deserves at the end: peace, dignity, and respect.
Thank you both. We will reconvene after a short lunch with the jury's decision. Jury, have you reached a decision?
We have, Your Honor. We find Dr. Sal guilty of manslaughter, but not murder. We understand the complexity and the ethical dilemmas at play here, but we notice that he acted in mercy and Abdel was suffering, and therefore we do not find him guilty of second-degree murder, but find him guilty of manslaughter.
As a compromise, we will be sentencing Dr. Sal 2 years in prison and a loss and suspension of his medical license. With that, this court is adjourned.